Pregame.com.
Welcome back to Pregame.tv. Sunday baseball action. We've got the Cincinnati Reds at San Francisco. Now, these are two teams, Ken, I'll be honest with you, they're heading in opposite directions. San Francisco's on a slide right now. Cincinnati's a surging team. And, you know, we were ahead of the curve. 2 weeks ago, we did videos right here in studio, and we talked about the Cincinnati Reds are going to be a team. They're a play-on team for the next few weeks. They're flying under the radar. And, boy, they've been playing great baseball. As we said, quite simply, because they got healthy. This is a team that had a lot of injuries at the beginning of the season. They got Matt Latos back. They got Joey Votto back. I forget the other guy they had got back the week before that. This is a team that right now looks like the Cincinnati Red team that we saw in that three-horse race between St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati last year in the National League Central.
Yeah, and Todd Frazier has really held his own there at third base, and then Brandon Phillips starting to hit now. So Mesoraco was the other guy, and although he had a couple strikeout games this past week, still hitting the long ball at times. So, yeah, I like the way this team Cincinnati's playing, and I think the NL Central last year was real interesting, and we had three teams make it to the postseason. It will not surprise me if we have three out of there again. Just don't know who they are, because right now four teams playing pretty good ball, because the Pirates and the Reds both playing well, Cardinals playing well, and Milwaukee 17 games over 500. They continue to surge and surprise, and I think they're good enough. We're halfway through the season. It's going to be a battle in that NL Central, because they're all going to be playing each other soon.
We kept looking for Milwaukee to come back to the pack. They haven't. And St. Louis is who they are. We know what St. Louis is. Every year they're going to be there. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, because of their slow starts, if they dug themselves too far of a hole to get out of, is the way Milwaukee and St. Louis is playing.
I don't think so. I think St. Louis, again, still, although I see them going out to get another bat. Again, you and I talked about they didn't really go out and replace the power numbers, Carlos Beltran, when he left for the Yankees. So I can see St. Louis now. They're 6-7 games over 500, but it was evident last night they're still lacking that run support. Wainwright loses to the Dodgers 1-0. So again, they don't have that key lineup that they've had over the last several years when they won their series, and they've made it to the postseason each and every year.
That was my other bad beat of last night. I split last night in baseball, but I
figured I'd bring that up.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. I always appreciate it. I can always count on you.
There you go.
Well, you know what, Ken? This is my free pick.
Marco D'Angelo, it is your free play, so let's make it official.
All right, guys. I've been a big fan of the Cincinnati Reds the last few weeks, and I've made some nice plays with them. In fact, that was my other winner from Thursday night was the Cincinnati Reds. But I'm looking at them here. Sometimes you got to look at horses for courses. And the San Francisco Giants, when they play a day game, I'm not jumping in front of this team. This team is now 20-9 in daylight games, and they're averaging over 5 runs a game. Their last day game, I was on him. It was my betting first look free play, and that was San Francisco and Timmy Lincecum. Now, did I think he was going to throw a no-hitter? No, but I did think they would handle the Padres in that game, and Lincecum came through big time. Of course, that was the Padres. I looked at this pitching matchup. We got Homer Bailey against Tim Hudson. Hudson lost for the first time in 17 home starts. Whenever he takes the mound at home, his team had recorded 16 straight wins at home over the last 2 seasons. His last one was his first loss. I look for him to bounce back, and I got a few reasons why. First, we said how good San Francisco plays in the daylight. Well, let's take a look at Homer Bailey. And Homer Bailey has not pitched good whenever he is pitched on the road. His ERA is 5.47, and his WHIP is 1.55. In his last 3 starts overall, he has put 25 base runners on in 17 innings. When you put that many base runners on, only one thing can happen, and that's runs are going to be scored. 11 runs scored in his last 17 innings pitched. That's an ERA getting close to 6. And I know San Francisco has been struggling, but as I said, when you put them in a daylight game, somehow they seem to get over 5 runs a game, and I'm going to look for that to happen again. And just how impressive was that stat on Hudson, being his team 16-1? Well, going into that last outing, the first 16 games, the last 2 seasons at home, the opposition had averaged, his ERA was just .259. Hudson's home ERA this year, and he's held the teams to under 3 runs per game, the opposition, in those 16 games. I look for him to put a number on the Reds on Sunday. Homer Bailey. His name's Homer for a reason. He pitches better there than he does on the road. I'm going to go ahead and go with the San Francisco Giants on Sunday. Think we're getting a cheap price. We'll get a cheap price on Sunday because of the way the Reds are surging and the way San Francisco's been sliding.
And the way Hudson pitched in his prior game, even though that was on the road against you, the White Sox at US Cellular, he got racked in that game. So 2 bad starts in a row for Hudson.
Yeah, I look for Hudson to bounce back too. When you got a quality pitcher generally, unless you find out later that there's some kind of injury or something that's bothering their mechanics or whatever, these guys are generally going to bounce back after a bad start. And I definitely look for a big outing out of Hudson on Sunday. We're going to go ahead and make the San Francisco Giants our free play for Sunday. That's going to wrap things up for this week. We'll be back next week. You'll have Fezzik in studio on Tuesday. Never know who's going to be with the Fez man on Tuesday. Then Chuck and I will be back. Chuck, and I did it again. I got once a video. I got to call you Chuck.
It's unbelievable.
Ken, and you guys is like you're always together. I always think you're like Siamese twins. I think of you too.
I got no more use for this witness, Your Honor.
Ken Thomson, SportsX Radio, Yahoo Sports Radio. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Talk to you next week.